I'm live, by the way, dear, just to warn you. Okay, good. You got your headphones on. Hi, Rouser. Can everybody hear me? Just somebody give me a vocal check, please. Kick ass. Wonderful. Um, I'm going to end up having to apologize to everyone. By the way, I am eating a failure pile and a sadness bowl for dinner tonight. So, um, oh, here we go. Yeah, we're going to make this happen. I want you to laugh because I'm eating a failure pile and a sadness bowl for dinner
Oh,
tonight.
that is sad. Damn.
Oh, well, I'm sorry. This is my failure pile and a sadness bowl. This is the additional bowl of kernel corn that I'm
The
eating.
the extra helping of sadness.
Yes. Yeah.
You know what's great about that though is it basically just goes right into cellulite on your thighs.
Well, I mean, admittedly, Lawrence, I have to tell you, I already have a pretty, I have a pretty jiggly bubble butt.
Juicy booty. I know. I've heard all about it. You can't
Um,
drive the 95 without reading it in the men's room walls.
no, no. I
Are you eating any olives, by the way?
no. Did you see my comment about your olive asthma thing?
I mean, yeah. I mean, what do you think they taste like? They're salty, they're juicy, they're briny.
I mean, admittedly, I've taken a lot of
Olives
olives repeatedly.
over and over again. I know. I mean, I've seen the videos of you just dripping with olive juice.
Yeah, just olives. Whew. Oh gosh, my heart is all aflutter.
Olive flutter? I see what you did there.
Oh, by the way, I since I have you on here, I want everyone's going to listen to me apologize. I have to apologize today.
To whom? To me?
No, I to like everybody in the publication.
All right. Well, hold on, because I'm putting my phone in the stand so I don't have to sit here and hold it like some kind of schmuck.
Oh,
Oh,
Morgan, this is a dress. I want to be very clear to everybody. 85 to 90% of the time that I wear clothes, I'm wearing a dress. If you see a floral top like this, it's a whole dress. If I stand up, it's a dress. Here you go. See, dress. Kind of the A-line, skirty kind of thing.
a little bit of an empire waist.
Yes.
hmm
Yes, because I'm old and I need that. So,
Right. It's flattering on the 6'5" girls. I've heard how tall you are.
yes, I'm obscenely tall.
So, yeah, all right. Well, I mean, not that obscene. My boyfriend's 6'5".
Well, I'm taller than most people.
You are 6'5"
Now,
will make you taller than most people. That's true.
if I wear like 6-inch stilettos or whatever, that's an entirely different story.
I mean, I want to see that. How, do I have to pay to see that? How exactly?
So I don't have an OnlyFans yet, but people have said I should register an OnlyFans. I should register an OnlyFans just
Do
to
you want
say
to know a secret, Wendy?
what's that?
I I had an OnlyFans for like I don't know, like a year, and I mean it did okay. I like there is a certain market for beefy bottom daddies, I suppose, and yeah, but then Trump got reelected, and I was like, I should probably shut that shit down, and so I did, but don't tell anyone. It's a secret, just between you and me.
No, no, I'm not going to tell anyone. We're not going to share that secret.
Yeah.
Um, so so here's the thing that I sort of have to apologize for. So here's what happened. Um, basically, Um, uh, the long and short of it is this. So today I published an article about Gavin Newsom because of all the shit that's happening in LA.
Hmm.
And I had a list of the 20 things that Newsom had done that were really positive things. But then I also had the list of the 20 things that Newsom has done, which is makes him a complete shithole.
Yeah. I
Like,
mean, honey, he was married to Kimberly Guilfoyle for a
yeah,
while before
I
she went
don't,
full MAGA Trumpy. Like,
yeah,
that should have clued us in years ago.
yeah.
If you
So,
went to central casting and said, give me a slick loser who looks like he wants to run for president one day, they would give you Gavin Newsom.
yes, yeah, exactly. Now, let's be fair. I mean, Gavin Newsom is in no way worse than Gray Davis ever was.
Sure.
You'd be hard pressed to beat Gray Davis. Gray Davis was a train wreck.
I Again, I think his name clued us in well before the train wreck happened.
Right, yeah, exactly. So here was the thing. So yeah, I had like the 20 things that he's not so great for because yeah, he badmouthed the trans athlete community and that sucked. And he did some COVID shit that was wrong. And there was some other bullshit that he'd done. But then I had like a stack of like the 20 things that were positive that he had done. And so I
Because, yeah, I mean, he has done some good things, right? It's
I yeah, the dyslexia screening and criminal justice reform, and he enabled rent control protections, and that kind of shit. And so like he'd done good things. So I tried to write a balanced, objective article about him, but also giving a psychological profile because that's something that I happen to be very good at. Um, Philosophical and psychological profiling, because there was a time in my life when I was that major. Anyway, so here's the thing. Um, I got my post into the top of a Jeff Tiedrick post. And I was really sure I like had it in the middle of the road. Now, let's be fair. I did call Newcomb an elitist and an opportunist. And both of those statements are very true. He is an elitist and he is an opportunist. And he does not thrive particularly well when there is not drama or conflict going on around him.
I think these are all true and very diplomatically said. Yes.
Yes. And so, well, here is where the emotional castration happened. A progressive who I am a reader of turned around and said that my article was just like a newsmax.com attack article. And
Ooh,
that fucking hurt.
not Newsmax.
Yeah. I got compared to Newsmax and I just, yeah, right, Cat. Yeah. It hurt like a bitch. That hurt like a fucking bitch. And so I went back and I read through it like one time and I read through it again and I carried myself into my room and I cried for an hour and I went to sleep. But that wasn't before I eviscerated the article and dropped in there's nothing to see here, go away.
Is this before you had dreams about kissing Gavin Newsom on the
No,
night,
no, no,
or
no, no,
after?
no, 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 no. No, I never had dreams about kissing Gavin.
Ah, Wendy, come on. It's just between us chickens over here. You can tell.
I mean,
He's got that silvering thing on the side, and he's tall.
how hung is he maybe? I don't know.
I think there's something to work with there. My relatively foolproof method of determining penis size on men tells me that Gavin's got some pipe he can swing.
Yeah, okay, I'm hopeful. Here, we have to get Elaine so that Elaine can be clear about. Elaine, accept the fucking invite this time.
Yeah, come on, Elaine.
Yeah, right. Get on the fucking ball. So here's
Hi,
what
Elaine. This
happened.
is the first time we've been on camera together. Hi.
Hello.
So here's what happened. I published
I'm
an
very calm.
article about Gavin Newsom, Elaine.
Right, I read it.
Yeah. So you actually read it before I took it down.
Yeah, and I wondered why he took it down. What was
Yeah,
he
I took it
proving?
down because a progressive writer that I read a lot and give a shit a lot about called it a Newsmax attack article, and I couldn't deal with that. That literally was emotional castration to me.
I mean, but was it though? It's just Newsmax. Does anyone care about Newsmax?
I mean, nobody does, but to be compared to Newsmax as a journalist, even if I'm an amateur journalist, I mean, it was the same. And here's the thing: the hard part about it was that the day before, so yesterday, I had to ban a shit ton of MAGA accounts who were all doing the same thing. Your writing sucks. You use AI to write your articles. It's all bullshit. And I'm like, okay. I mean, there's only so much of that beat down that I can take.
That is true. But, you know, Babe Ruth whiffed every once in a while. I mean, I'm
Yeah,
told,
yeah, yeah.
like, uh, are you okay though? Because just
No, no, no.
put the
Right. Yeah.
article back up.
No,
Everyone
no, no.
clap if you want Wendy to put the article back up.
No. What I'll probably do is I'll just put the article back up. um, I won't hit the list with it, and then I'll just drop it into our chat or whatever. Here it is. Because I sent it to Rick, and I sent it to Evelyn, and I sent it to one other person. I'm like, here, read this. Does it sound fucked up or whatever? And they were like, no, this is actually. I mean, it's in your
Because
style.
the thing that you the thing that you wrote about his um, kind of, put in the kibosh on executions in California.
Yeah,
That was what stood out to me because that happens to be the one issue that I lean right on. Because I've known people who, you know, um, I knew an entire family that was murdered by this asshole. And I understand that it might not be such a hot idea to put the state in charge of deciding who lives and who dies, but I think there's some people that do things that are so terrible that they just need to not be here. So, uh, there are people on death row in California that have been sitting there since the 70s.
yeah. Here's the thing.
If we're gonna have the death penalty, let's have it.
Yeah,
I mean, that's why it costs so much more to execute somebody because you have to go through all that, you know.
yeah. Here's the thing. Right? There are very few, as a Druid woman, there are very few things that I approve of where the death penalty is concerned,
Mhm.
because the taking of life is categorically against my religion. That
Oh, I
said,
know. I mean, it's hard for me to say that, and then I'm so much for bodily autonomy because you can't violate someone's bodily autonomy very much more than by executing them, right? But
right. But if
um,
you're the Night Stalker and you literally have serially killed a shit ton of people, I'm
mhm,
sorry. It's time for you to check out.
Yeah,
yeah.
I'm fully on the page of there are some people that are just not uh you can't rehabilitate them. They are beyond rehabilitation or integration into society. And their crimes big enough that, maybe bye, you're done. This was your turn. This was your chance. Come back next time and be a better person.
Right.
You know.
I mean, Jeffrey Dahmer did not get executed. And clearly, if
Oh
anybody
yeah, he did.
deserved,
Yeah, he did. He just didn't get executed by the
well,
state of
he
Wisconsin.
didn't get executed by the system. He got executed by the social order
Mhm,
therein.
mhm,
Um, and so, yeah, again, as a druid woman, the taking of a life is problematic. I don't like a life to be taken that
mhm.
can be readjusted. But yeah, look, if you kill more than one person, I'm sorry, it's time for you. It's time for you to check out.
But so, Wendy, remind me what Newsom said. I only lived in California for a year, and I only moderately pay attention to him. What did he do with regard to death penalty?
Elaine can tell you because I'm actually reposting the article right now. I'm literally gonna do this right now.
Elaine, what did he do?
What did Newsom do?
Yeah, yeah. I don't actually know.
You mean what did Wendy write about that he was doing?
Yes, exactly.
Yeah, yeah.
Well, just kind of that he should have been more proactive when this started happening so that Trump would not have the opportunity to, you know, kind of go over his head. I mean,
So this
I
is
think the last time that the guard, the National Guard was federalized was at the governor's request. Was that California too? It might have been. It
it
was
was it
during
was
Yeah,
Rodney King, and then
yeah.
the
yeah,
time before that, the only
was
time that would have been done under
1965.
then was 65
Hmm.
with Wallace. Yeah.
Hmm. So,
So here's the actual reference from the
mhm,
article. So he had this messianic. I called it the messianic drive um, to produce spectacular miscalculations. So he unilaterally put a moratorium on the death penalty, bypassing the legislature to close execution chambers. And it
mhm,
demonstrates how he has, he's an elitist and he's an opportunist. That means he has a savior complex.
mhm,
Very likely has, psychologically, he has a savior complex. Um, so that he can override the democratic process when he deems them insufficiently enlightened. So his early release programs for convicted felons, implemented with minimal transparency, reflect the fact that he has his own moral authority, and so it's moral relativism at its
mhm,
core. The morality is relative entirely to just what he sees, and that's it. Which is why, for instance, he could agree with Charlie Kirk over the fact that trans persons have no business participating in women's sports.
Well, I mean, I think the diagnosis of Newsom is simply he aligns to and advances whatever will get him into the Oval Office. He absolutely is one of those people. Like, he just reeks of it. He believes that he should be president, and everything in his life and everything that he does is positioning him to get there by whatever means necessary. Right? Like,
mhm,
how much did it chap his hide that Kamala was running for president, and it would have basically blocked him out of it would have taken his shot for like the next two terms. You know,
Right.
must have made him crazy.
mhm.
Well, and there's a
Well,
point. There's a point there too that I should bring up before you respond, Elaine, and that's the reason that that won't happen is because Newsom carries around aristocratic guilt. He has this burden of privilege, seeking some redemptive act through his public service, and that guilt.
too bad Robert Kennedy doesn't have the same thing.
Maybe the brainworm ate that.
Yeah, that's
Did you ever
that
get around
one.
to listening to that book about his mother?
Yes.
I'm telling you, man, that bitch must have toilet trained those kids at gunpoint. I'm telling
Um.
you. But not to get off the subject, but I always do anyway. But when you mentioned that about transgender athletes, I hope this isn't too. When you took, when you transition, the hormones that you take, don't they affect the amount of like um, strength or whatever that you?
Okay. You want to have that discussion?
Yeah,
Okay. Here's the deal.
because I want to know what to say when somebody says, well, we shouldn't let men compete with,
Okay. All
you
right.
know.
So, yes, I've been on HRT since 2020. Uh, so I take a testosterone blocker. I don't really have to, Well, I have to because my testosterone levels fluctuate really badly. But the reason that it fluctuated really badly was because when I was younger, I don't know if uh, we should talk about this. So when I was younger, I was a testosterone deficient and unreceptive male. So my endocrinologist has told me over the years, has told me, like, if I were faced with this now, I would be telling that person, you need to go through gender transition.
So you already weren't going to be Kurt
Yeah.
Thomas.
Yeah. And so, but I wasn't. So at the age of
Right.
10, I had not grown like at all from the time that I was 7 to the time that I was 10.
Mhm.
And my testosterone was in a two digit number consistently over numerous blood tests. And so this goes back to the argument I was making with the Vivian bitch, is that it's chemical. So chemical, that means that I'm an intersex person. And when you say intersex, that's biology. That's why I got pissed off at that bitch when she was like, gender identity isn't about biology.
I
Hold the
love it when people want to tell you what you're about.
yeah,
When
hold the fuck on. But when I was young, the way to resolve that was at the
Mhm,
age of 10, I was put on human growth hormone and testosterone injections.
mhm.
And I literally grew, I shit you not, 3.5 feet in a 3-year period. Now, one, that's incredibly painful. But
Yeah,
then
you're
Well,
supposed
two,
yeah.
to motherfucker.
yeah, but then two, from a biology perspective, my the noodle, it fucked up the way that my body processes and excretes testosterone, both here and then downstairs or whatever.
Mhm,
So I'll do one blood test, and my testosterone on testosterone blockers will be like 30 or 40, whatever. And I'll do one again, and it'll be back up to 500. And that's because of the shit they put me through when I was a kid. Now, that said, yes, when I
mhm.
started my gender transition, 2 years into my transition, I could not open a jar of peanut butter.
Oh yeah. Okay. Well, I don't mean to, pry or whatever, but
No, no, no. That's
it was direct to me 17 years ago, but I haven't been put on any hormones since then.
no, that's
So,
I from my perspective, that kind of question, that's trans 101, trans 110, 150, trans education.
mhm.
Look, I've been in restaurants where people ask me that question, and then 15 minutes later, I give them the entire trans 101 speech or whatever. And so, yeah, I mean, it's like night and day. And yeah, I there's a number of things that happen when you go on hormone replacement therapy. And,
Mhm,
you know, for someone who isn't trans, it would be completely horrific. So people that
mhm,
were forced into that, like, I don't know, Alan Turing.
For example.
Yeah. Uh, the, here's the thing. Here's another thing. When you are an assigned male at birth and you go through hormone replacement therapy, 6 months into HRT, you start having the morning excitement activity happen. You wake up and you're full mast.
oh,
That completely quit. That completely stops.
well, yeah, it moves down to your bladder.
I mean,
That's what morning excitement
also
is for women.
AIDS.
Oh my God. It doesn't help when I have three wanting to jump, do the baton death march on me at
But yeah, if you're a
4:45.
guy, I'm not going to sugarcoat it.
Your
So,
cats do that to you too, Elaine?
Oh my God, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I love how they know exactly when my bladder is at its fullest and decide that
Mhm.
that's the moment to
Time to
make
go
me
for a walk. Yeah.
right. So basically, like 6 months into HRT,
Mhm.
stop having morning erections, just disappear entirely. They go entirely away. And then
Mhm.
another byproduct, and Lawrence, you're going to laugh when I tell you this, is that about 2 years in, um, um, you don't have any more liquid output,
Mhm.
like none. Like I look like you wait a couple of weeks or whatever, and that could be like enough to fill a Dixie cup, right? No, I could wait 2 weeks and it'd just be a tablespoon.
Uh, Honey, you're telling me this, and all this sounds like to me is getting old. Okay, all this same shit is happening to me, and it just means I'm an old man.
Yeah.
So
Oh God,
there's your trans ed. So yeah, if
that's my
people
trans
think like
education for the week.
yeah, trans athlete shit like no, they're stronger. No, I have to have my kids help me open a fucking jar of goddamn peanut butter.
Hmm. Yeah, well, welcome to the sisterhood, honey. I have to call my ex sometimes. She lives on the next block. Oh, will you come over and do this? But um, oh, and I talked to her um, this morning. It actually freaked me out a little because I talked to her yesterday and she wasn't aware of anything that was going on in Los Angeles because she's in the Kansas National Guard and she's at Fort Riley right now for 2 weeks for annual training.
Really?
And yeah, and so I told her what was going on, and then she called me at 11:30 last night, and I didn't hear it, and I woke up at like 2 in the morning with somebody doing the hurchie coochie on me. And I saw that she'd called, and I'm freaking out, thinking, "Oh my God, they're mobilizing the Kansas Guard! Oh no!"
So we're all
I waited
clear.
and called her back after I wouldn't get yelled at, and she hadn't been. But she said, number one, there's not enough troops. Even if you take the Guard and the reserves and the active military, they'll have to draft people, which that'll go over real big, right? People don't even want you to give their kids freeness. Yeah, they really want to raise them to be cannon fodder. But then she also said there's going to be a lot of people like me. I'm not going to follow in order to, you know, to be sicked on my own people. So,
So um so we're all up to date. We all know
mhm,
that they are mobilizing the Marine.
Right. So
mhm.
the Marines are going into LA, which
So
is
whatever
blatantly
happens,
unconstitutional.
yeah, here's the thing. If they actually deploy the Marines into LA,
Mhm.
then we're getting into dangerous territory.
Yeah, no, I think that's fully in dangerous territory.
Yeah,
Literally
that means
unconstitutional.
yeah,
Should need
we're
to go to the Supreme Court immediately.
yeah, that the 25th has to happen if that plays.
Well, and I don't know what to think about the Supreme. I was feeling a little better about him a week or so ago, and now I'm not sure.
Everyone
Right.
be
I mean,
quiet. Miranda joined. Don't talk about her anymore.
Oh,
oh yeah, gosh, Miranda.
oh my God, Miranda, that
Who
thing
she
with the
was.
gerbil. Oh man, that was no. Um,
I don't know if I have any faith in the Supreme Court or that anyone would do the 25th Amendment. He surrounded himself by sycophants. Those people aren't going to 25th him.
Well,
you
here's the
know,
thing. The courts, either it's the courts that do it or it's the BP that does it. If it's the BP that does it, no, we're fucked.
well,
But
I don't
here's the
know.
thing too.
Mm,
The I find this interesting. They're not deploying the army. They're deploying a portion
yeah,
of
the
Marines.
jarhead.
Yeah, they're deploying a portion of Marines.
Hmm.
I have a theory about this. I wonder if that's because if they realize that if they push the army out there, half the army troops that they deploy out there will walk off the fucking field and say, "I'm not doing it."
Hmm. I'm not sure that. I mean, it's a lot. The Marines are a lot. Their training is a lot more intense than the Army and the Air Force. Maybe not the Navy,
We've all seen
but
Full Metal Jacket, right?
exactly. Well, and a few good men.
How tall are you, Private? 5'9" and really stack shit that high.
Yeah. Oh,
Bullshit. It looks like the best part of you ran down the crack of your mama's ass and ended up as a brown
mhm.
stain on the mattress.
Well,
I
and
think you've
the
been cheated.
gunnery, yeah, the gunnery sergeant and officer and a gentleman. Yeah, he was a real sweetheart too.
Oh, so the early Emery thing, do you know the story about that? That's an interesting story, by the way. I love that movie. It has not aged well. It's a horribly aged movie. But here's the thing about Full
Oh,
Metal.
the Full Metal Jacket.
Yeah, here's the thing about Full Metal Jacket
Hmm.
was Arlie Ermy did that entire take in the first like 10 minutes of the movie in one
Mhm.
take. And
Mhm.
here's why that happened. Um, Kubrick had hired some other like idiot to play that role,
Mhm.
and Ermi was only supposed to be like an advisor on the film. And he watched the guy do the first take, and Ermi went up to Kubrick and said, "This motherfucker does not know what the fuck he is doing. Literally, let me do it. I'll do it in one take, half, if not more than half the time, and I guarantee you it'll work." And he did, and so that grabastic piece of amphibian shit speech, like the first 10 minutes, which by the
Mhm.
way, uh, Matthew Modine got like breadbasket hit. Um, Ermi actually hit him.
Mhm.
That was actually him legitimately hitting Modine in the chest,
Mhm.
for the realism or whatever. And so, yeah, so when you watch that, that was, and then Kubrick said, "How do you know how to do that?" And Ermi said, "I'm a master staff sergeant. I've been
I
doing
was
that
just
shit
gonna say,
every
yeah.
day for fucking 15 years."
Mhm.
And I mean, in fairness to him, who hasn't wanted to hit Matthew Modine square in the stomach?
Well, I
Right? I
mean,
mean,
Well.
you know, there was that horrible Vision Quest movie. I watched that piece of
oh
shit.
right,
If you
yeah,
ever wanted to
Jesus,
watch it
I
again,
want my money back from that from all those years ago.
Was that the one with Madonna?
Yeah,
Vision
yeah,
Quest? Okay. I don't think I ever saw that, and now that I hear that, I guess I'm glad I did.
yeah,
yeah, yeah. Cross that off the bucket list. Like you're good. You're
Uh-huh.
good. You don't ever
right.
need to go back and
And
watch.
just to be clear, we're all up to date about RFK Jr., right?
Uh,
Well, I mean, other than that
what
he's
has
a
happened now?
No, he
magnanimous dick.
basically he has fired all of the CDC vaccine advisory board.
Yeah,
Mhm.
I
Yeah,
mean, we're fucked.
yeah.
We could just go down the list of every
Come
piece
on,
of the
SARS.
administration.
I want some.
I mean, who's he gonna hire to replace him? The people that used to make the Geritol commercials? I mean, we can't have any real doctors in this joint. Come on, man.
I'm telling you, as a druid, early person or whatever, all this shit goes away. You guys are all just gonna come to me. Mama will
Pretty
make it right.
long commute to Atlanta, but yeah,
No.
I'll make a note of it.
Mama will make it right.
All right.
I,
On this note, my dinner is ready, and
oh yeah,
so
look. Hey, look, my failure pile in a Sandus bowl is still right here. So,
oh yeah, okay. I have no appropriate comment to that. So good luck.
oh, thank you, Lawrence. Always.
Bye. Thanks for
Uh,
dragging me on.
So,
yep.
Thanks for pulling a Wendy.
Always. Here.
right. Is there failure pile and a sadness bowl from KFC?
Yes, that's why it's called that. Do you know why that's funny? Okay. Is
Yeah,
anybody
Patton
getting,
Oswalt.
yeah, Patton
Isn't that?
Oswalt. Yeah, right.
Yeah. I would love to have been part of the marketing meeting where they made that up. All right, let's just throw all the leftovers in this bucket. These fucking pigs will eat anything.
I don't fucking know. All right, well, so here's the question. So you asked the question about the trans athlete thing. So here's a
Mhm.
question I have. Is there any other trans question that you have that not another trans person has ever answered for you that I can answer for you? Because I would be remiss if I didn't ask that question.
Well, not. I have a nephew who is trans, uh,
Right.
assigned female at birth, and they're transitioning. And
That's an entirely that's an entirely different story.
they're having to do a legal name change. And um, they just posted about it today on Facebook. And the judge is wanting to have them appear in person. Um, they don't think that that's necessarily a bad sign. I changed my name like 15 years ago because I
Right.
had taken my partner back in the 90s. I'd taken her last name, and after we split up, I decided to do it legally and get rid of her name.
Right.
And I remember having to go in front of the judge for that. I did. My lawyer took care of everything. So
Right.
I wondered if that was something that they were doing just because it was a trans situation.
I, so here in Georgia, the shtick is you go to the county courthouse. You file the paperwork. They put the ad in the paper for 6 weeks,
Mm-hmm.
and then if nobody like contests it or whatever, then you go back in the court, and they're like, "You're not doing this to avoid credit. You're not doing this to, um, um, you know, get away from somebody. You're not doing this to commit fraud or whatever." Yada 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 yada, like all of that bullshit, and then they grant you the change. Of course, then you
Mm-hmm.
have to go through the painstakingly disgusting process of changing your name everywhere.
Oh
Uh,
yeah.
but with the way the whole voter law bullshit is happening, a lot of people are scared to do it because of the birth certificate voting X shit. So that if your birth certificate doesn't match your other documents, you can't get a voting form and you can't vote.
Yeah. I mean, I think that's what.
And
Mhm.
so, and that's the thing. Changing your birth certificate, that's the act of God. I mean, you can
Mhm.
do it, but that's the act of God thing.
Yeah. Well, my nephew is married to a man, and they have 4 daughters. Although I think one of the daughters is um, non-binary.
Right.
Anyway, that's what's so uh, interesting to me is, my nephew went through the whole thing, the Earth Mother thing and all that kind of thing, and um, came out as trans in her late 30s, I'd say.
Right.
Um, his late 30s. And the husband's on board with it. Kids are okay with it, you know. But I can't help wondering what's going to happen, if they overturn same sex marriage and all the other shit that they're going to do. What's that going to do for their marriage? You know,
Right.
I know Project 2025. Dude.
Yeah. I've said this before.
Mhm.
The whole Project 2025 thing, however far the fuck that goes down the road, um, the thing that I think is going to be a byproduct of that is we're going to see shit that happened during the Lavender Scare. Though the social aspects that came out of the Lavender Scare, that's what I think is going to happen. Going to have that again. By the way, Eileen, are you happy? I reposted the article just for you.
Oh, yeah, thank you.
Yes.
Gotta see what
Um,
all the hullabaloo is about.
oh, Eileen can tell you. I mean, she read it. The wrong person told me that I sounded like I was fucking a Newsmax journalist or whatever. Like, Newsmax, Fox News,
Mm,
One American News Network. Like, if
mhm,
anybody ever says I sound like a journalist from one of those publications, that's not a space on my bingo card I ever want to fucking fill.
mm-mm.
I really don't. I mean, I just don't.
And I don't watch or listen to those, sources, so I wouldn't know what they're comparing you to. Like, I mean, I guess it's pretty bad. Uh,
Newsmax and OANN, One
It's probably
American News
Breitbart
Network.
for people who don't.
Yeah, like
Breitbart for
Fox is
people who need
here.
even shorter words.
oh,
So Fox News is here, and Alex Jones is like here.
uh,
And Newsmax and One American News Network are like here. So yeah, it's all. I attribute Newsmax and OANN to basically Breitbart. It's the same thing as Breitbart.
Mhm.
It's
mhm,
it's right to far right political news commentary. So,
mhm.
Yeah. People who prefer their hate speech in words of one syllable as much as possible.
well,
Oh,
here's the thing. There are the people who are taking that stance are the people that are like, we don't need to attack the people that we're going to support. And I'm like, I don't know that I necessarily support Gavin Newsom. Gavin
Hmm.
Newsom has his issues,
yeah.
and
Yeah, like
So,
throwing the trans people under the bus, like I can't let that go. I mean, ugh.
No.
well, as a trans person, I can't let that go. Not that I am a participating um, sports
Right, right. That the
individual.
issue is just so complicated and, oh god, I don't know.
Um,
Mhm.
I mean,
Yeah.
so there's a girl. Um, she's not trans, but she is a very masculine female named Paige Dumars. I follow her on TikTok.
Mm.
When you see her, I guarantee you are gonna say, "There's no way that's a girl." Oh, it's totally a girl though.
Mhm, mhm,
Um,
mhm.
and she bench presses about 325,
Mm.
Mhm.
and so like she competes in male-oriented events, even though she's not biologically male in any way. And here's the funny thing about her: like when she
Mhm.
goes out, she gets hit on by gay men more than she does other women.
Mm.
Yeah, Paige Dumars is she's cool though, because she's also like this homemaker type or whatever, and I think that's cool.
Mm.
Um, here I'll dig up a picture of her and you'll see what I'm talking
Yeah.
about. But yeah,
It if
that
people can't pigeonhole people, they freak out, like, it's like, god, there's so much
Yeah, I
variety
know.
out there.
I
It's
I talked to my second oldest brother, who's a libertarian minarchist nut job, and we always argue about politics. I need to
Mm,
quit arguing with him, but he
mm.
actually told me this. Well, that's why that's why Trump was elected is because you guys pushed it too far. I'm like, what the hell?
I
What do you
know.
mean?
Uh,
Well, I don't want it shoved down my throat. I was like, well, why don't you shut your mouth? Then nobody can
I
shove anything down your throat.
I'll
You
go back
know?
to I'll go back to the thing I said before. Maybe they want something, you know?
Mm, mm.
I'm a bad
But
person for that, I know, but
well, no, I've been, all this crap I've been seeing on social media from all these people, and I'm sure some of them are bots anyway, but all the crap they say about
all right.
pride and
So that's a grainy photo, but that's Paige Dumars.
oh, whoa.
Not trans at all,
well,
So
is
so built. Oh my god.
but yeah,
Amazing.
that girl outlives like some other guys, most men I know or have
mm,
seen.
Mm,
mhm.
And she's better defined than fucking Arnold was at the height of his career.
yeah.
So
Oh, I
Oh, Miranda's right. We didn't push it. They spent 200 million plus on anti-trans ads. My sister lives in California, and she couldn't believe the number of those anti-trans ads showing Kamala, paying for the guy in the prison to get his trans surgery. And I mean, my sister was like, "My God," because they had watching some sports channel or something, golf, or even on the golf channels, things would come flying through. She's like, "These commercials have got to stop." Yeah.
mhm,
Uh,
mhm. Mm.
so anyway, yeah, it's all a bunch of crap. Um, so we're at the point now where it's like, okay, tomorrow is gonna be a big deal. Oh, and then you know about the house changes, right? So
Mm-mm.
Mark Green, who is a Republican from Tennessee, he is going to resign his House seat, which
oh,
Really?
means, yeah, which means the Republican gap in the House
like
goes down a little bit more. So
3
now,
people or 2 people or whatever, or
well,
I
if
don't.
he resigns, that means that Mike Johnson cannot afford to lose 2 votes. If he loses 2 votes, they're fucked.
Mm.
Well,
So, and
that's good.
the projected timetable for the big beautiful House bill is August.
So why
Yeah,
is he resigning?
He has found other employment outside of Congress.
congressional district, I believe it's 7 in near Tucson for Raul Grijalva. That doesn't happen until September
Right.
to try to
So
get another
Mhm.
Democrat.
they'll have
Yeah.
voted on the bill by then.
Yeah,
One
darn it.
second, I'll be right
Oh.
back.
Mm.
Hmm. Well, that uh, I don't know. My
Interesting.
head hurt trying to think around. You know, trying to think around what all this shit. I mean, Newsom is saying that the only reason that Trump has raised this fuss is to get the attention off of him and Musk after the
Yeah.
meltdown last week. And
We need to be talking about let's get okay, and back to the and now back to the regular news,
Mhm.
This whole just pisses me off what's happening because I have family in Southern California. I grew up in a suburb of Los Angeles. My dad grew up in El Sereno.
Oh
Anyway,
gosh. Okay.
yeah, we joke he's as white can be, but he grew up in East LA. But that was back when they had goats on the hillside. The Basque community had goats and sheep, and they would slide down the hillsides on scrap metal until they had to start saving it for World War II. But anyway, it's a long time ago. Dad's 94.
Wow.
Yeah, yeah, but like and when they were all like, my sister was watching the people on the 101 freeway. When I called her to check in, she's like, and then she's something about the illegals. I'm like, "You mean the undocumented?" Like, she's just God, I have to correct her a lot.
Mhm.
But, yeah, that was weird. I'm so glad they all got off the freeway without too many, uh,
Well,
clashes. Yeah.
from the somebody asked me this, why because I wrote an article about it. Why are you classifying it as a riot instead of a protest? And I said, the minute that private property gets destroyed,
Yeah.
you've reached a riot. But there was a news agent down there, and I watched one of the police officers shoot her with a rubber
With a
bullet.
rubber bullet, the one from
And
Australia, right?
yeah, blatantly, and then there's some epithet, some horrible language that the
I mean, other than crikey.
yeah, no, not the Australian. The police officer
Oh,
is heard in the background saying "shut the fuck up" or something.
oh yeah.
There was one that they weren't calling an ambulance for, and did you see that whole thing on someone put on TikTok? And I was like, "Ugh."
Yeah,
And I'm like the guy's like, "Why don't you call an ambulance?" I'm like, "Why don't you call an ambulance?" I don't know. He's telling the cop to I guess you can get the ambulance faster if the cop calls for it. I who knows? I don't know. They're
right.
like, "They can't
So,
get through here. They can't get through here." I'm like, "Oh my god."
I mean, I literally, I don't know. The next 24 hours is going to be pretty crucial.
Well, if they're
Well,
playing, if mariachi bands like I follow Jessica Craven on Substack, Chop Wood, Carry Water. She's an activist from Southern California. She was supposed to go down to one of the protests that were trying to release the labor guy that got arrested, the labor leader that they said, I don't know what he did to get in custody. But she's like, yeah, there were mariachi bands and we're singing La Bamba. And I'm like, now I want tacos. I tell you, the taquitos at Olvera Street with the green sauce, oh my gosh, I'm dying right now. That's the old part of downtown LA.
My hands are not beautiful, by the way. Somebody said my
they are from all that shit
Aw.
slapping you've been
no,
handing
no.
out.
My hands are a wreck. Although I will tell you, I use a shit ton of moisturizer product on my hands. I've always, even before I transitioned, I was addicted to Lubriderm and shea butter on my hands.
Coconut oil and olive oil. If I'm cooking with it, I just slather all the yeah, it's great.
Um,
Mhm.
Oh shoot, I'm gonna roast some garlic. Ah, and put it on toast.
I was
That's what
going
I'm
to
gonna
say,
have.
expecting vampires tonight or something.
Stephen Miller.
Yeah.
God.
God.
Oh, I can't look at that guy. I can't believe I said his name out loud. Ugh, ugh.
If you say his name 3 times, he'll
Oh,
appear.
he's gonna come flying through the glass. Ah, like Candyman. Oh
Put the right
God.
one in.
Oh God,
Oh,
help us.
well,
Uh,
Mm.
yeah, that's out of the news. All that I have the toleration to. I we should
Ugh.
talk about. We should talk about the other thing that I pushed out today. Let me find it really quick. And
Sounds
that's
like
the
pushed out. It's like you gave birth to another story.
oh yeah, I know I did.
Pushed out.
The hanky code thing.
Oh, that was good.
Okay, so
But I was like, "Oh, shoot. I didn't know that."
did you know about any of that?
Left is
Mhm.
left's okay, right is gay, left's okay for my second whole I don't do a second anymore in the '80s at high school. I was like, "Oh, no,
I
which
thought
one
it
which
was
one do
left
I
is
do?"
right, right is wrong.
Yeah, I've heard it that but in my high school, it was right is gay, left's okay, is what we used to say.
Yeah, but see
Same
that's the
thing.
thing. That was
It-
entirely a
Like
predicated mythology.
yeah,
I mean, the earring thing was entirely fucking socially
didn't really mean anything, but,
nope.
like, the handkerchiefs, I never knew about that or the keychain, um, um, but now well, the secret's out, I mean, or is the
Well,
yeah.
Well, the
wasn't it
keychain
different
thing, like,
different
especially
colored
for a
bandanas for different
yeah,
colored?
especially for
Yeah.
a lesbian, like, because look, let's be honest, in the gay community, it's pretty obvious who's a top and who's a bottom. I mean, I'm not gonna pigeonhole anybody here, but you know, if you were an effeminate gay male, odds are you were a bottom.
Mhm,
I mean, generally speaking, versus if you were a hyper masculine, bear type or whatever.
mhm,
And that Lawrence aside, of course, you were normally I mean, but with the lesbian community, it was very difficult. I knew lesbians were like, I couldn't tell you who's
mm,
on the upper or the lower end of the. So signaling became crucial, and in the trans community, it's even worse
mm.
because signaling as a trans person is notoriously difficult.
Hmm.
I mean, notoriously difficult. Um, I people look at my tattoo and automatically assume I've been assumed as just as a masculine lesbian. I'm like, nope, nope. So you know, but back in Elaine, you can talk to that. Back in the '80s, '70s, and '80s, signaling was the only way you could identify.
Yeah. There really wasn't. Butch and femme was kind of old fashioned, and
Mm,
in the '80s when I came out, women were just mostly just androgynous.
mm,
You know,
Right,
it wasn't until probably the late '90s um,
right.
that the whole butch femme thing kind of had a renaissance. Um,
Well, I think society sort of
mm.
helped that. I think society. Hell, I'm from Atlanta. The Indigo Girls made that happen
mhm.
because Amy Ray clearly a butch.
Um,
Oh my gosh, have you ever heard of Lynn Lavner?
Oh God, yeah, of course.
Do you know her wife died?
What?
Yeah,
Really?
yeah. I just got my current issue of Lesbian Connection uh, Saturday, and the obituary was in it. Um, that's another one that they had mentioned in this current issue that they had some people cancel their subscription, saying that they were upset about this or that, and I got the impression it was about the trans issue because some of the women that are longtime readers of that are kind of turfy. I've subscribed for a long time, and I just kind of ignore that kind of thing. But, they always had a lot of stuff in there about women's events on land and stuff like that. And so, um,
You see, that's the thing. So you know about Leslie Feinberg and Kate Bornstein. We lost Leslie Feinberg like a while ago, but with Kate Bornstein, I keep waiting for her announcement to happen or whatever, and it just
one of the the first trans women I ever met was from here in Kansas City, Davina Gabriel. And she actually was one of the first trans activists to try and get the Michigan Women's Festival to allow trans women to attend
really
there. And she ended up backing off on it and saying that her intention had been for trans women who had actually had surgery
Right.
to go. That she didn't really blame, you know, uh, she really didn't blame women who didn't want a pre-op trans person. I mean, I don't know. That was never my thing anyway. If I want to walk around flop chested and not shave my armpits, I can just stay home, you know. And I don't like women's music. I'm sorry. I'm a heretic, okay? I listened to Holly Near. It made me suicidal. I was like, fuck no.
We sang "I Am Willing" at our, pride service on Sunday for the UUs and got glitter painted on everybody, and
Mhm.
oh, well. It has a place. Has
Yes.
a place.
But
I,
anyway, yeah, artist Sperber was her wife's name. I've been to two of Lynn Lavner's concerts back in the 80s and 90s, and I remember them both because both times I ran into her in the ladies' room and talked to her. The first time was in St. Louis in 1987, and the second time was at I think in Lawrence, Kansas,
Mm.
in 92 or 3. So,
so the first drag queen first trans person who was ultimately was a drag person, drag performer at the time that I ever met was Charlie Brown. Charlie Brown is a very well known was a very well known person in the Atlanta scene.
mhm,
Charlie Brown and the Review, and they did their show over at Backstreet, which was like Atlanta's quintessential gay bar
mhm,
for years. And I will tell you, the first time I ever met her, it's crazy. I was a Georgia Tech student, so when
mhm,
finals time would roll around, I'd spend every night till 3 a.m. or whatever cramming for tests. I'd
mhm,
go over to the Majestic Diner, which was open till 2 or 3 in the morning.
mhm,
And so if you went over there like at midnight to eat food, um, around 1 or 2 o'clock when Backstreet started to back off, Charlie Brown and all of her drag queen performers would walk in and sit down and they talked to you. I mean, it was cool. Um, and so that was my introduction to drag culture. Of course, I was a young kid at the time
mhm.
I was going through my own bullshit or whatever.
Well,
But
the reason I thought of Lynn Lavner is that she was a 5 foot tall butt, and her wife was like 6 feet tall. Yeah.
yeah.
Mm.
Much like my Waffle House Baby Butch experience that I described to you the other day. But I always thought like with her that was going to be the thing. Like she was gonna like the Baby Butch that I ran into that time. Like she was gonna scare that off with her masculinity. Of course, it never happened.
Mhm,
Good, but I've
Mm.
had way too many queer experiences. I guess I'm old, so
mm. Wow.
one too many nights over at Mary's in East Atlanta.
We have a Mary's here in Kansas City too, Hamburger Mary's.
Is it a gay establishment?
Yeah, it's a restaurant, really. I don't think it's really a bar so much,
No.
Mm.
but yeah, it's more of a restaurant. I
Yeah,
couldn't even tell
basically,
you.
here's the sad part: lesbian
Mhm.
spaces in Atlanta don't
Oh
exist.
yeah, disappeared.
I
Yeah,
mean,
I mean there were never more than 3 or 4 in the Kansas City area at any one time. But
well, but that would have been 3 or 4. Like in Atlanta, it was basically front page news. My sister's room, um, Tallulah's, um, Tongue and Groove, and then there was like one other one. And Tongue and Groove is still open, but that's a mixed. That's a mixed, um, generationally and orientationally mixed bar now.
mhm,
But the only lesbian safe space in Atlanta is my sister's room. Versus on the gay side of the equation, the Hideaway, Felix's, The Heretic, BJ Roosters.
I
I'm
mean,
going to name all of the gay bars in Atlanta. Whoops. By the way, Whoops and Bulldogs are two
mhm,
gay sports bars,
mhm.
which I have a great story about that if you want to hear it. My
Hmm.
Bulldog story. So when I worked at IBM, I was an IBMer, and I had a liaison whose name was Charles, and he was from upstate New York, and he was the short, little, mouthy, fucked up Italian guy. And so one day we were working in the data center over on Marietta Street in Atlanta, and we decided to go over to the Vortex. So if you're ever in Atlanta and you want to have a really, really good burger, the Vortex is the best place to go and get a burger.
Okay.
It just is. Go there. But the Vortex over on Peachtree between 10th and 14th is right across the street from Bulldogs. And to
Mhm,
park, you have to park in the parking lot that is right next to Bulldogs. And so my liaison, we're walking out of the Vortex and we're going to go get in the car and go back to the data center. And there's this short little blonde guy who is standing like on the corner of Peachtree and 14th or 10th actually. And he is clearly checking my liaison manager out. Like clearly. Like he's
mhm,
elevatoring. Oh, okay. And so Charles walks over to him and says, "What the fuck are you looking at?"
mhm,
And he starts bad mouthing the guy. And so we're all like, whoa, 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 okay. You don't want to know what that's attached to. And, he's like gay slurring left and right. And he's, you know, sissy that. And I won't say the other shit that he said.
Mm.
He's threatening
mhm,
to beat the guy up. And we're all like, no, you know. And so that literal moment, a large person of color, taller than me and much wider than me, walks around the corner and says, "Is there a problem here?"
there we
And
go. Like
Charles
that
looks
guy
at
in
him and
Chord Song Trilogy.
says, "Yeah, right, exactly. The cave troll from Lord of the Rings." And so
Mhm,
he Charlie looks at the guy and says, "Yeah, get over here and help me beat up this word that rhymes with hag."
mhm,
And and so the black guy walks over to him and says, "No, that's my husband." And I went, "Nope, I don't know you anymore. I'm
Oh,
going
yeah.
back to the car." And
wow.
so, yeah, we waited 25 minutes or whatever, like 20 minutes or whatever. And Charles got
Mhm.
back to the car and he did not look like he was in good shape. And I was like, "How did you talk yourself out of that?" And he said, "You want to know?"
You don't tug on Superman's cape.
Yeah, don't yeah, don't wanna know. And the funny part about it was I ran into him at a professional org, like, years later or whatever, and a guy was with him.
Mhm,
I was like, "Charlie, are you, like Zack and Mary or Brandon Routh from Zack and Mary, are you gay?" And he said, "Yeah," and I went, "About fucking time."
Mm.
okay, you know.
Yeah, about fucking time. Loudest bell in the church is always the one, right?
Mm.
Well, I always like to go to the boy bars, you know? But that's because 'cause I'm a flirtatious party girl who likes to dish with the queens. Um, I didn't have a hell of a lot of use for lesbian separatism in the '80s, let alone now. But I just switched I don't like lesbian separatism, but I like TERFs even less. So
Mhm.
I don't have any separatists to pick on much anymore. So, but the TERFs are coming out of the woodwork like cockroaches after dark, you know? Um,
It's getting worse.
mhm.
It's getting much worse. So, yeah, I don't. I mean, when I go to my sister's room, I've gone before as a trans woman. Um, and the funny part about it is all the stone butches hit on me. But I tell her, I'm like I tell her, uh, Aubrey, We all know who Aubrey is, right?
Right.
That if we were to go to my sister's room, she'd get hit on constantly or whatever. And she's like, no, because every time we go out anywhere, you're always the one that gets hit on. And I'm like, no,
Yes. I'm the pretty one.
yeah, no, right, whatever.
No,
Um,
Torch Song Trilogy again.
Oh,
well, I mean, if it walks like a duck and it quacks like a duck.
Well, if you haven't seen that, that's your assignment for tonight.
What? Oh no, I'm a huge nerd. You better believe I've seen it.
I was gonna say,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah. Look, I will tell you from a social perspective. I feel like there's like 15 movies that everybody has to have seen at least once in their life, and if they haven't, it's like the 100 books you're supposed to read or whatever. Example: have either of you seen The Shawshank Redemption?
yeah,
Yeah.
long time
Exactly.
ago. Yeah.
Yeah, that movie, in my opinion, is the greatest movie of all time. And here's that movie is even better than The Godfather. What such shit.
Mm. I should watch Shawshank again.
But yeah, that's one of those films. Like you should just watch that. Like watching Nicholson in Chinatown.
Oh,
You
yeah.
know, or don't watch The Color of Money from the '80s. Watch the movie that it is a sequel to, which was Paul Newman's The Hustler from '63 or whatever.
Mm.
Did you not know that, Elaine? Really?
I don't think so.
The Color of Money with Tom Cruise and Paul Newman
Mhm.
is a sequel to Newman's movie The Hustler. Oh, Linda's right. If you've never seen Priscilla, Queen of the Desert,
Oh yeah.
Oh.
holy shit, watch that movie. And here's why: I did not realize this. Um, Stamp's character in that movie was actually billed as a trans woman.
Mhm.
It was actually billed as a trans codified character.
Hmm.
Yeah, or the American version, to Wong Fu, thanks for everything, Julie Newmar.
Well, and as a confirmed bonnet head, I'm very fond of Little House on the Prairie. And when I first saw Desert Hearts, and Almanzo was the dude that was trying to get, Patricia Charbonneau's character to run away with her. I was just like,
I mean, I from a queer cinema perspective, there's a shit ton of
well, yeah, you guys have more movies too. The trans and the gay male, because there aren't that
oh
many movies.
no, back up. Uh
Mm.
John Sayles' movie,
Yeah,
Liana.
Leanna.
Yeah,
Uh-huh.
Liana, and then
Entree
Desert
New
Heart. Desert
and
Heart.
Desert
Both of
Heart.
those movies are like super fucking sapphic films.
Mhm. And Entree
Desert
New
Heart, there's
from 1983. If you haven't seen that one, it's French. It's in French. Um, it, I'm trying to remember the director's name.
um
And Fried Green Tomatoes.
yeah. Yeah,
I keep getting.
Entree No, Personal Best, and A Question of Silence. Question of Silence was a Dutch film though, but it's a really good sapphic film.
I designed a bumper sticker last year that was from Fried Green Tomatoes. It says, "Let's face it, girls, I'm older and I have more insurance." I keep getting people wanting to know where I got it. I'm like, maybe I should have it, have some design and start selling them.
I'm shameful to admit this. There's an 80s 90s film that I have a guilty pleasure over.
What's that?
Well, I'll just tell you who's in it, and then you'll be able to tell me the movie. Shirley MacLaine, Dolly Parton, and
Nine. No.
Steel Magnolias.
yeah,
Oh, still Magnolias. Oh, yeah.
Mhm.
uh, just because
Yes, the book was definitely better. Fried Green Tomatoes was. Yeah.
Oh.
I completely agree. So
Ben Flagg's
yeah,
first book is still my favorite one, though.
take a look. If you give me like 24 to 48 hours for a queer history article, I will publish if you're a gay, trans, or lesbian or non-binary person, these are the like 10 movies that you should watch.
Mm.
I'll publish that. That's worthwhile. Um, I'll caution you, like one of the gay movies I'm going to tell people to watch is Latter Days, and there are some very difficult parts in that movie. There are some very difficult parts in that movie, but it has what's the dude's name? I forget. Shit, now I gotta look it up. Um, um, the dude from Inception was in it. Joseph Gordon-Levitt. That was one of his first movies. Was Latter Days. He was very young. Um, but that movie's about Mormon anti-gay shit.
Mm.
Um, so anyway, well, ladies, I need to finish my failure pile and sadness bowl as I'm listening to
Enjoy.
this Mortal Coil's Idleland in Tears album as I'm staring off into the middle distance of my apartment at 2 in the morning.
Who was it that said they were going to watch Raising Arizona yesterday? I think that might have been Wendy Parker.
Oh gosh.
Okay, then.
Who? Why? Where? Bitching technology. I hate Nicolas Cage. I do. That actor so annoys me that I can't.
Moonstruck. All I could think of was him in Moonstruck when he was in Moonstruck.
I lost my hand. I lost my pride. Johnny has his hand. Johnny has his pride. I can't watch any more of this. Why did Cher agree to do that movie?
Well,
I don't know. All right. Ladies, thank you,
all right,
as always.
sure.
Thank you.
I love you both. Have a good evening.
You too. Have a good evening.
Yep.
Night, everybody.
So with that, I tell everybody, thank you. If you're new, please subscribe. We're all family here. We all give a shit about each other. We all talk to each other. If you're, thank you, Morgan, very much. Consider becoming a paid subscriber. I always say that. With that, I will tell all of you, please stay safe out there. Don't take risks. Make good choices. Do what you need to do to protect yourself. And we'll just, I can't get through this without you guys. We can't get through this without each other. Let's stay strong and stay together. And I love you all and good night.